Hello guys, this will be going to be SSH tutorial. Okay, so in my previous video we were talking about remote access. The very first protocol that we studied was Telnet. Works on TCP, port number 23. Whatever you are doing remotely, commands and everything will be going in the plain text. We did even a Wireshark capture, a sniffer tool, and it showed that you can see all the whatever commands, passwords you are writing. That's the bad thing. That's why SSH came in the picture in the very first place. Secure Shell Protocol. It uses TCP port number 22, but it is not as simple as Telnet. You have to generate some crypto keys. Using the keys, there will be encryption happening on both sides. They will exchange the keys, the remote device and your whatever your user end is. They will exchange the keys, and then afterward, whatever you will send will go into the encrypted format, and only the both parties A and B can do the encryption decryption because only they have the key. So let us first do the basic things. Turn on the devices. Basic config. So what we have here is we have a R1 and we have a R2. This is actually a router also. So I did nothing, just right click, change symbol, and I made the router look like a PC. So this is right now a router as well. Let me show you. This is the boot. Let me just close it. Let's start afresh. Double click R1, and if you double click here, you will get R2 as well. Both are routers, but we want to convert this router to as a PC. So pretty simple. That's how you convert a router into a PC. Just turn off routing on it, assign the IP address, and also assign the default gateway. Okay, we also have to assign default gateway IP default gateway 12.1.1.1. All these commands only. So I can even copy all this command set, go to the R2, and our config key is already there, so I'll just simply paste them. Now what we have, show IP interface brief, IP address is there. If you do show IP route, you will only see the default gateway. Now let's go on R1. R1 is a router, full-fledged router, so no need to turn off routing. Just enable, just configure the IP address and turn on the interface. Okay, IP address you have to do and turn it on. And to confirm the connectivity, let's initiate a ping from this side to our PC. Okay, it is pinging. So we have the connectivity set, and let's turn on the SSH. Now, for SSH, you have few prerequisites, some things that have to be there in place before you turn on SSH. Turning on SSH is pretty simple. Go to the line VTY. What is line VTY? We talked about in previous video. Virtual teletype line. It is right there. See, if you are just coming on this video directly to learn about SSH, go to the previous one. You have to watch the Telnet one in order to better understand SSH. It's not like you cannot understand it here, but if you know Telnet and line VTY basics, then you will be very good in SSH. These are virtual teletype lines 0 to 4. How many you have depend on the router. You can just do it line VTY question mark. Line VTY 0 space question mark. I have 1800 lines, depend on your router or switch platform. And you will go to the line VTY, you will turn on SSH with some commands. But before that, there have to be some prerequisite set, like my username and password and my crypto keys and this and that. So what are all these steps and everything I have prepared for you guys? So these are all the steps. So step number one, we have to have a host name on the router. You might see the host name we already have on our GNS router, because it is one good feature of GNS. Whenever you start a router, it will automatically give you R1, R2, R3 like that. But on a default router, it will not be like this. So let me go ahead and remove the host name. If I do no host name, it will factory reset the host name. You have to have a host name and a domain name setup in order to generate the crypto keys. This is the command to generate the crypto key. To generate crypto keys, this crypto key generate RSA. RSA is what? RSA is the algorithm to generate the cryptographic keys. Okay, so don't get much attached with the commands, what is the meaning of each and every word. RSA is nothing, is the name of the algorithm. Yeah. There are three scientists, or not scientists, or physician, or mathematician who created that algorithm. Yeah, Rivers, Shaman, Edelman, something. So this is mathematical algorithm. We don't even want to go into details of that. We just want to know how SSH works. We just make use of some algorithm. Okay. So what we will do now, let's try to generate the keys. So crypto key generate RSA, this is the main command of SSH. But we cannot do that until and unless you define a host name and a domain name. Because this host name and the domain name that we will set will be needing to name the keys. If you look here, the name of the keys will be the host name plus domain name. So see, domain name, it doesn't have to be cisco.com or something. You can just give whatever. I can give Cisco if I like. So I try to generate keys, but it is saying host name is not there. So let's give a host name and let's say R1. Let's again take two crypto key generate RSA. Let us say I can't do it because I don't have a domain name. Domain name is what? Domain name is simply your routers are part of what domain. I am in ABC organization, so I can say my domain name is ABC or ABC dot switching, ABC dot IT, ABC dot management, whatever you like. So I'll give IP domain name Cisco. So I have the host name, I have the domain name. My host name is R1, my domain name is Cisco. Take 3 crypto key generate RSA, and if you do that, it will say you can generate the keys because I have both things. And look here, what are the name of the keys? R1 yeah, it is host name plus domain name. Now this is the how much like modulus the algorithm need a mathematical value to generate the keys. The minimum you can give is 360, the maximum you can give is 4096, but the recommended one I think is 7768 in order for SSH to work properly, because we'll be having SSH version 2, and if you're not giving 768 you might face some issues while doing SSH. Recommended, like preferred one, mostly people use all over the world, is 1024. In between, not that easy to crack, not that much hard also. Some people might say, why won't I use 2000 something or 3000 something? If you use 2000 or 3000, what will happen? A lot of security will come to you. It will be more secure, but at the same time, your SSH will be very, very slow because the keys will be much more complex. Every time the encryption decryption is happening, encryption means converting the text into the secret text. Decryption, decoding the secret text back to the normal one, plain one, using the key. If keys are complex, the process will take long, and each and every command you are giving will be going through both process. So that's why we recommended 1000, minimum 768. So let's use 1000. It is creating, generating the keys. Keys are there. If you want to see how the keys looks like, just for your satisfaction, okay, I have generated the keys. Where are they? There is a special command for that. Show crypto key my pub key RSA. It will show you the key structure. These are the keys that you generated. Okay, so no need to go into that. I told you, just a mathematical algorithm which generate a very long weird key to give you security. These keys will be exchanged in a secure manner with the other side so that you can do the remote access securely. So I have my keys. I have gone through step number 1, 2 and 3. If you have watched Telnet, and I hope you have watched it, you don't need username password combination for Telnet always. It is optional. You can do without username password Telnet with single line VTY Telnet password only. But for SSH it is not the case. There have to be a username and password for SSH to work. That's why simply like Telnet before, we will just create a username, admin, password, admin123. Now guys, one other key point, we generate this username password for Telnet and SSH in both protocol, but this is not specific to only that protocol. Have you seen me anywhere going to line VTY? Have you seen me mention Telnet or SSH? It is just a local database on the router or switch. You can create it. It can be used in a number of places. I can use it in AAA authentication. I can use in Telnet. I can use in SSH, HTTP. In lot of places I can use this username password combination. So now you have all the prerequisite done. Last step, pretty simple. Go to line VTY and turn on SSH. How many lines you turn on SSH up to you. If you are doing only this, then only one person, one user can access at a time. If you do 0 space 4, 5 users at a time can access. If I am doing this line VTY 0, if a user is having the SSH connection right now and is remotely controlling our device, if any other user comes, he will not get the access until unless the previous one logs out. So line VTY, let's make for 5 users. To enable SSH, transport input SSH. Simply said, if somebody comes to take the input via the line VTY, allow them using SSH only. Little advanced thing I want to tell you. Sometimes you might want to say that I want to allow SSH and I also want to allow Telnet as well. So you can do this. Now, if somebody comes with Telnet protocol, he can access. If somebody comes via SSH protocol, he can also access. I don't want Telnet, it is not secure. I only want SSH. So I will give transport input SSH only. Then I will say login local. If somebody comes, then ask them. Login local simply means authenticate using the local database. Where is your local database? Right here. You can create as many username password combination that you like. Or if you want to keep things simple, login local means ask username and password which are created on your device right here. So login local, that's it. My device is up and running for SSH. The command to take SSH, you might have remembered we used to do something like this for Telnet, pretty simple. But SSH is not as simple, you cannot do this. There is a particular syntax you have to bear in mind. This is SSH space dash L means L for login. I want to log in as this username to this destination IP. You have to specify your username in advance, then it will ask you the password. It will look something like this: SSH-L admin 12111. Okay, so before that, let's put our hacker or Wireshark capture or sniffer in place. Just a guy sitting behind the scenes capturing all the data. He want to extract information from us, our username, passwords, and config and everything. So we did the same thing in Telnet, and in Telnet he was successful. Everything was in there. So let's log into remote device. Not remote. See, R1 is our remote device, and let's go to our PC. Let's see, we make the name. This is a PC, and we want to take SSH connection. We want to log in as admin to this device. It will ask me the password, which is admin123. Now guys, same old things. It will not let you in unless you use the enable password. If you want to override this, just write one statement here. While creating the username, just give this. If you give this, it will not ask you the enable password because your user has privilege 15 access, but our user is privilege 1, so that's why we have to give an enable password here. Enable password Cisco, then it will give you the access. Cisco, we are in. We are doing some commands. It will be little slow than your Telnet, but it will be secure, and our hacker having all the data. See, we have the TCP SSH data. So let's start any SSH data. Anyone if you want. Let's try to open it. Right click, follow TCP stream, and doesn't matter whatever packet you will open, you will just see some alien language. All the SSH packets will be like this because you don't have the keys. You can try your luck, but it might be hard or very hard to break this thing until unless you have the key. So that's why it is much more secure. And one other thing I want to mention, if you are taking SSH or Telnet from this guy right here, which is our real laptop, how you will take the Telnet? Let's see, this is our CMD, our command prompt. I open it like this, Telnet to something, read it. It is, I don't know what the hell you want. You don't know Telnet. Microsoft CMD used to know Telnet years back. Now it is not in there. If you want to enable, you have to go to control panel somewhere, and you have to reinstall or not like enable this feature. Back again, apple.cpl, turn Windows feature on or off, and in here you will see Telnet server and Telnet client. There you have to turn on Telnet. Turn it on. Okay, it will take some time, but no need to go into that. Just download what is known as the PuTTY software or secure CRT. This is PuTTY. I will open this, and this is a like standalone executable file you can download from internet. Using this, you can telnet or SSH to whatever router or switch you are connected to. Maybe it is sitting even in Tokyo or Hong Kong. Just check the ping, click on telnet, give the IP address. Told you use the protocol 23, you click open, it will connect. If you want to use SSH, same thing, give the IP address, port number 22, open, you will get a security message for exchanging of keys, yes, and then you have the SSH connection. How to enable it, how to configure the steps and everything will be same as this. How to disable SSH, again same thing, go to linevty, remove these two commands and replace these two commands with this default one, and your telnet and SSH both are disabled. Just set them to default. Okay, so try this SSH lab, and also try to learn the same thing on Wireshark. When you're installing GNS, there is option will come for Wireshark. It's a pretty handy tool. You can capture packets and you can open them, the port number, the source IP, session IP, all these things. So this is your SSH. Try both telnet and SSH, and you can also, last thing, you can do this router to PC like we have done, or if you're having two routers, you can do the same thing. Sitting on one router, you can also take telnet or SSH of the other router as well, and for the switch as well, the things will be pretty much similar. Okay, so let's see you guys in the next lecture.